Thank you, thank you, thank you. What a way to start this day, the last day in the year 20, the last show.
Last sunrise.
The last sunrise show in the year 2019. Did I say the last day?
Yes, you did.
You don't want to speed up the year, I mean. Just rush it.
Okay,
Welcome
okay.
to 2020.
Well,
Hold
your horses.
on.
Hold your
Just
horses.
Slow down.
Yes. Well, I mean, we might have confused you, but yes, it is sunrise.
Yes,
and
it
it
is.
is Saturday morning, believe it or
Yes.
not. Well, this is just our way of saying Merry Christmas to you and a Happy New Year in advance. And thank you all for having stayed with us through 2019 and over all the years that Sunrise has been showing on your favorite channel, Channels Television.
I sense Alera is about to shed a tear. But before that, it's been fantastic, 2019. Oh, guess what? We have a studio audience, and it comprises almost all the faces you've seen on this show from the beginning of the year till now. They're all here. Please put your hands together for yourselves. Wonderful people, wonderful people. It's good to have you here. It's good to know that you're here. Thank you so much. I'm Neo Taigbe, and these are Leroy Edu, and we have guest anchors with us today.
Elijah Donjassi. Donjassi, and Frank Donga. Well, you know their faces. Thank you for joining us this morning,
You're welcome.
Donjassi.
Thank you, more.
Donjassi.
You know what? Don't Ajasi, which means we are fresh and we're exposed.
Tell them. Tell them.
Wait, hold on. You're fresh and you're exposed.
You are exposed. We know what's happening in the society. Either in the news, either it's too gossip, either in the market, anything happening in the country, we are the first partaker of it. The English people, we have to see it in newspaper. We see it by breeze. It just comes. So...
but sorry, Donga,
in it.
have you gotten a job now? I know the last time we met, you're looking for a job.
No, on that issue, soonest.
Soonest.
We're almost there.
At least he's wearing suit now.
Okay, he used to wear just...
okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
normal
yeah.
shirt. If you want to get employment, there's a dress sense.
You look
That's
like
how they
where you're
put
going.
dress, there's sense together. Yes.
Some of us have the two. You know, some of us, we are trying to get the two.
It's fine.
But
on
you
the
still don't have a
outside.
job, even though you have the two.
Soonest. It's just today that covers tomorrow.
Yes.
To get,
It's today that cover tomorrow.
it's today that
It's
comes.
proverb of the elder people.
Yes.
Okay. Well, good luck then in your search for a job.
And thank
They are
you,
not showing
everyone.
us at home.
Don't
Are
worry.
they showing us at home?
Let's do our own serious
I want to
program.
greet our
Thank you,
landlord.
everyone, for joining us on Sunrise. And we have this beautiful guest presenters, in-house guest presenters, joining us. One on Ankara, the other one on Native. Enjoy the show.
At least now you know the people that want to collect your job.
I was just about to tell Neota that. Say, well, we may be jobless by next year.
Welcome to the club.
So we
Which
have
club?
to go and get suits as well.
No, FC
Definitely.
Football
So,
Club.
what we'll do is we'll just switch. You bring the suit and I'll give you what I'm wearing now. So that's...
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us this morning. I'm Frank Donga, and right beside me I have one and only Elijah Donjassi, Helen Paul. Like you heard, we have the guest presenters, co-hosts here with us. We have Madam Alero and NT
hold on.
Ota Egbe. You're watching Channels Television. The first station, news...
Hold it right there. This is our show.
Maybe you say we can collect
Thank
your
you.
job. You say we can collect your job.
I didn't say
Help
that.
your
No,
brother.
Help me, brother.
no.
This is what's spoiling Nigeria.
That's the thing, no? Elders don't want to step down.
Do and let's do.
Okay, it's all right. It's, Frank and Elijah, thank you for coming on the show.
I may have to retire after this.
You don't have to, so let's go straight into the problem.
No, you are telling us that we don't want to retire. They don't want to
straight to
step
the
down.
There's
So
no way we won't take care of you.
It's
The
true.
problem with elders is
you,
fears.
Jesus.
Don't worry, we will take care of
We
you.
take care of
Okay,
Thank you,
okay,
Jesus.
but can we at least finish the show? So besides the fact that we have Elijah Donjassi and Frank Donga in the house, we have a lineup of things that we know you would love to hear about. We're starting out with, as expected, money matters. You know, the recent thing, bank charges, CBN here and there. So we'll start out with that one.
And then we have the message of the season. What is Christmas all about, really, strictly speaking?
That's true. The act of giving is what I want to look at. That's charity giving. Why are you giving when you two don't even have enough? I don't understand.
Some people, at the end of every year like this, they're always making new plan, new resolution. Making New Year's resolution. We'll talk about that one. What's your resolution? Hey, hold up. Don't tell me yet. They want to hear you at home.
The one you did last year, have you done it?
I'm still working on
I'll
it.
tell you the one he did last year, to get a job in 2019. Until now, he hasn't gotten a job.
It's not over until it's over.
No.
Anything
I've
can
gotten
happen.
some jobs. Oh.
He has gotten
Anybody
some
can
job.
come here on this
Yeah,
show.
yeah, I do remember. There was one he had, Spider-Man in Nigeria, I think.
Yes, now that
Oh,
was a job.
yes, Spider-Man.
Only that he got injury, so they have to step in.
It's okay.
Frank, what happened?
Finally, we're going to have an artist of the week, a guest artist of the week.
Yeah, that's you.
How many pictures I draw?
No, artist.
Artist.
You see why you can't take their job now? See you.
Excuse
See
me.
you. People that
you are
read.
very rude. Be serious. This is channels. Serious.
It's not by
station.
lipstick. Oh. People that know this English know this English.
Má sọ̀rọ̀ sí mi o, Papa Laja ni màá dìgbà
They are
dìgbà.
looking at us at home. I will treat you now. They will see.
And also, we have in the lineup of our program today, we have the Wale Oni in the house, who will be performing later on. We also have Biodun Koya, who's also performing the course of the program. And we have a 5-year-old maestro. Whoa. He is fantastic on the keyboard. I'll not tell you his name. He's going to be performing later today. But we also have the band here that brought us into the show. So we'll just give you a few moments to listen to the band, and we will be back.
Enjoy.
She ayé mi dára o, mo wá dúpẹ́. 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 Mo ṣoríire o, ẹlẹ́dàá mi mo dúpẹ́ o. Mo ṣoríire o, ẹlẹ́dàá mi mo dúpẹ́ o. Àrí òmíràn gbà bí kì í ṣe wọ́n, bí kì í ṣe wọ́n. Kárí ayé, kárí ayé o. Mo ṣoríire o, ẹlẹ́dàá mi mo dúpẹ́ o.
Sheye Saxophonista Band. Sheye Saxophonista Band. Well done
I
for
thought-
taking us down memory lane.
I actually thought, you know, there are names of bands. I mean, Fela and the Kalakuta Republic, right? There were Egypt 80, right? Okay, thank you. You see, it's good to have a studio audience, though.
Especially old
I
school.
don't think
Old school.
Especially
people.
old school.
Yeah, old people.
But there are some new school here as well.
Yeah, that's
Old
some new
people. Helen, please. I mean, sorry, Alaja, I beg your pardon.
Are you begging me or you're telling me that you're doing that? You don't understand. So when old people are, they will tell you, there's no way you can have rag like an adult. Why are you keeping rag? I don't know what you are doing with it. Better throw them away. All right, so on a serious note this morning, our first topic for the day. We're looking at all these banks and all their money matters. My brother, have you heard the new thing in town now, bank charges? So about a week ago, the news broke out that the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has reduced cash withdrawal charges from, of course, banks and automated teller machines, ATM, from 65 naira to 35 naira. I don't understand. So, well, and after the third withdrawal, within a month also, I don't know, the central bank has also clarified that the issue of payments of 50,000 charges by merchants.
50 naira.
By 15 naira, I don't deal with small money.
Tell them.
You understand?
Tell them.
Alaja the trader.
Our one, you know, we sell gold. We don't have time. You know, so 15 naira charges by merchants as business people who use our points of sales, the POS and all that, the machines, cashless transaction. And we have many questions for the CBN people, and they are coming live. We are going to be asking them questions because when we pay, they don't give us money, but when we want to collect our money, they charge us, and they're telling us we should even say thank you for giving it 35 naira, which is so. This has generated reactions from Nigerians, especially at this festive period, when a lot of people are, of course, into buying and selling. So we have to address that matter seriously today. The money matters because as a businesswoman, as a Elijah, you know, I say in Tenjo Show, me Raye. If I make my money, I've gone through a lot. The market I'm selling, my gain, maybe it's 60 naira, I'll be 100 naira. Though I know that my gain is 1.5, but we have to tell customer. But 15 naira.
You know the one that makes me happy the most, just
Yes.
before they introduce the guests from Abuja, because
Yes.
I know they are ready to
Yes.
answer all these fantastic
Yes.
questions.
Yes.
Eh? When they introduced that 15 naira on POS, automatically, all businesses in Nigeria, they started charging us POS. Once you use POS,
Immediately.
anything above 1,000 naira, me care, no time for nonsense. Petrol, 999 naira.
That's right.
I made sure everything I bought was 999. How much is this? When they plus it together, say 1,005. I will say, first of all, remove 990 naira.
They
the
even need
balance.
to address the issue
I didn't
because
pay.
the issue of Kolo might even come back.
Another point.
Kolo
So right
might come
now, the
back.
guests are waiting in Abuja, and I'm sure
I'm almost flabbergasted. Which one is Kolo? But hold on, don't answer that question. Just hold on.
Piggyback.
My children have that.
Okay. We have the Director of Consumer Protection Department, CBN, Kofo Salam Alada. Good morning. Can they hear us in
They can hear
Abuja?
you. They can hear you.
Okay. As well as Musa Jimo, Director of Payment System Management.
They're
Good
looking at you
morning.
there. They're over there. They're looking at you there. they're seeing you. Okay.
Okay. Yes. Helen,
Yes?
please, your first question.
Okay. My first question for the day is that, sorry, we are Chinese. You are telling us that we should promote saving money in the bank for security. But the way people are collecting it from me, I don't see it as security. How are you going to sanitize us and moderate this removal of money? That the money will not be much, or we strike a balance, barter. If I give you, you give me something, it might not be much. So by the time I'm giving you back, and you are charging for me, I'll say because you have work, you are keeping for me. How would you sanitize us from not using colo back to back?
Well, thank you, Helen, and Frank, welcome. Thank you for having us in Abuja studio. If I understand you very well, Helen, because there was a howlback, what you want to find out is whether our move on financial inclusion would not be affected by all the steps we're taking about bank charges. Well, we want all the colos around, all the piggy banks under the bed, under the mattresses in Nigeria to actually move into the financial system. And what are we doing? What we have put in place is a consumer protection framework which will ensure that even where you bring in your piggy bank and the content thereof into the system, you are protected. You will not be overcharged. And that is why in this season, what Nigeria has done is that in the spirit of the season, we have come up with two very important regulations. One is the Guide to Bank Charges, which actually started way back in 1999 as Bankers Tariff. 2004, it was amended. 2013, we had another one. 2017, we had another one. And now we have this 2019. In recognition of the fact that there will be a lot of developments in the system. And when you have developments such as you have new services, new products, new services to actually take care of these piggy bank owners, you have electronic transactions also coming up. So my colleague will be talking about that. Because over the years, between 2012 and now, you have exponential increase in terms of electronic transactions. POS transactions to have gone up, as much as almost 5,000%, from about 48 point something billion to trillions. So you have all those things. So people are already getting interested in the banking system. So we are going to say that for those people out there who still have their money outside the system, bring it in, choose your bank correctly, and you'll be protected by the Central Bank of Nigeria, by the guidelines that were put in place. If you want to permit me to quickly give an idea of what consumers are should be expecting from Central Bank, we have engaged all the stakeholders, that is the banks and other financial system, other financial institutions. And let us also mention that you have other service providers who are not just even regular banks. You have people who are mobile money providers. You have the agents, also the kiosks that you have by the malams selling shai and selling tobacco around you, they are all in the system. They are being taken care of. They are being catered for by the regulations that were issued. Because the scope of this regulation is so wide that you have no cause to fear. Presently, we already have
Mr. Alada,
out there...
Permit me to interrupt you, Mr.
Yes.
Alada. Yes, you've said that the CBN is out to protect the banking public, to encourage
Consumers.
those with the colos and all of that to come into the banking institutions. But the rate at which charges are meted out to the Nigerians out there, it doesn't look as if it's encouraging. It doesn't look encouraging. I mean, all manner of charges here and there. Yes, CBN has reduced some of them. There are those who would have thought that CBN would have outrightly done away with those charges.
My quick answer to that is this. Let me just say, channels is there offering services. And part of what we use to support channels are adverts. And adverts are paid for to keep the business running. definitely there will be charges. What, in any business, for a business to be alive, you can do away with charges and don't have banks. But remember what the former chairman of the Federal Reserve of the US said about the absence of banks. In the absence of banks, the economy will collapse. So we don't want the economy to collapse. We don't want the banks to collapse. The overarching objective of the Central Bank of Nigeria is actually promoting, ensuring stable financial system, financial soundness in Nigeria.
Okay,
so
you said, sorry,
if you want to continue to have the banks, you have to pay for their services to keep them running.
Okay.
What Central Bank is doing is this. We are members of so many organizations around the world, especially the International Financial Consumer Protection Organization, known as FinConnect, which the Central Bank joined about a year ago. The nation should be aspiring to be at par with other parts of the world. Our peculiarities are being taken care of by the fact that the Central Bank of Nigeria even still went ahead to continue to moderate these prices with the issuance of guide to bank charges. What we have done is that we still allow a lot of these charges to be negotiable, but we have put a cap that when you are even negotiating, you are not supposed to go above a particular limit. So what we have anticipated is that we have anticipated most of the products and services that banks offer. But we still put it there that the list is not exhaustive. Where banks are coming out with products and services, they will still require the approval of the Central Bank of Nigeria before they go out with it, so that we'll know what the charges are going to be. Permit me to quickly just mention that when a customer now goes to the bank, so at the point of onboarding, at the point of engagement, all the terms and conditions, all the risk elements, everything about the product should be presented to the consumer so that he will know what he will be expecting ahead of time, is prepared, to ensure that he is not shortchanged. And that is why we have a regulation that we call, a chapter in the regulation known as disclosure and transparency. Under this particular chapter, the A to Z of a product will need to be set out, by the bank.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I don't mean to stop you sincerely. But the thing is, right now, it's looking like the program is strictly for CBN. No, sir. It's our program. We're asking you questions. Don't give us projector presentation, sir. You've crammed it. Sir, another thing I want you to help us do as Central Bank of our country, Nigeria, is try as much as possible, as you've now regulated this ATM machine thing, try and regulate all charges. All banks should be the same. Don't tell us we should choose our banks wisely. No. We should choose the bank we want. No. Because when you people want to collapse bank, you don't choose. You know the one that is owing you and you want to quench. So can you help us to quench our problem by telling them so thing 5 naira all round, VAT 10 naira all round, something like that? Then why is it that it's Christmas period now? You announced to us that we are going to be charged 15 naira, and that one has started immediately. But the one you are cutting off is starting January. Kilo day, why?
Sir, to ask Ellen's question, you remember that as soon as that announcement was made for the extra 15 naira charges on the POS, most businesses that run on POS or that use POS as a point of transaction implemented the charges. They didn't wait for any other directive. Yes. Later, we had a release from the central bank that it was supposed to be for the business owner, not for the customers. Now, simple question, sir. What is going to happen to all those 15 naira they've collected from our hands?
I wonder, what is it for?
That one don't go.
It don't go be that.
Thank you. I can see.
Okay, let's hear Mr.
I can hear the applause in the studio.
Mr. Lada, go ahead.
Maybe my colleague will take that, but suffice it to just say that the 50 naira, does not actually belong to the bank.
It's for
this is known as stamp duty, and it's a statutory charge. It is not even a central bank thing. It is just central bank saying that what the law says is that per transaction, every transaction above 1,000 naira, stamp duty is payable. And now, what we have now said is that banks, merchants, initially used to batch everything together and they just paid, just an item. But this is in contravention of the law, So it's even that if these are not being done, the question, Frank, you should even be asking is whether we should go back and start charging these merchants for all they have not paid. It is government money. It is actually not central bank or the bank's money. Then also, let us quickly even mention the fact that a particular type of charge took effect immediately. We are comparing it with this one. What we have brought out, what Central Bank has brought out now is more holistic. You know, businesses will need to rearrange themselves. They will need to tinker with the system, the platform upon which they make all these charges so that they will be ready. You know, also note that even one of the regulations, we're even giving the banks 3 months to come up with their compliance plan to be submitted to Central Bank. That is not to say that there will not be immediate compliance with the regulation. We only give them a time limit to come up with compliance plan, strict compliance plan. We can assure you, Helen and Frank, that in the year that we are getting into, you know, you will notice that all the colos and the piggies around Nigeria will come into the system because of the assurance that we are giving them.
I discovered, sir. It's fine, sir. The way you are smiling and saying it is because you know you want to punish us, so the smiling.
Let me
But
bring
we are
in
not yet happy, sir.
Let me bring in Mr. Jimo. Mr. Jimo, what would you say to those who believe that the banks have their hands in our pockets on a permanent basis? They issue you an ATM card. They charge you 1,000 naira for it. I don't think it's done anywhere else in the world. You don't pay for the card you're going to use to draw money
They will
from
even
the
put
bank.
your picture on it, free.
Then they charge you a monthly maintenance charge. What are they maintaining in a card that's in my wallet? We need answers to all these questions. And these charges come out of your account automatically. Then you transfer money electronically. And they charge you 52 naira, 50 kobo.
With your data.
They charge you for everything. And CBN just sits down and lets us suffer through all that?
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's a question that has been asked repeatedly.
Okay.
And what we haven't really, the details that we haven't given to the public is about what exactly, you know, are the banks maintaining to around a card maintenance charge. Without defending the banks, let me say that the plastic that you carry, which we refer to as card, is just a plastic and a chip. The actual account information and all security details, you know, for the customer is actually held somewhere remotely from that card. The information, the account information, and every single detail about you is held somewhere in the bank. And in some banks, what they do is to actually outsource this service and give it to a third party to manage. So the actual card, so to speak, the actual electronic information that makes the card an ATM card is not in the plastic. What you're holding is just the plastic to identify you into any of the devices, the ATM and the POS. There is another entity that keeps all the details that ensure that the PIN you have entered is correct, that ensures that the amount you want to withdraw or you want to pay with, you actually have such balance that actually ensures that the period and the place you are paying for is allowed. For example, there are some cards that you cannot use outside of Nigeria because it is not configured to be so. So this information are held somewhere else that is being checked to ensure that we are not defrauded, the consumers are not defrauded. This is the account that is being maintained. This is what they mean by card maintenance. There's an entity that maintains such information and protects
Mr.
it.
Jimo,
this is what is called
Mr. Jimo,
the maintenance
if I may
of a
interrupt
card.
you,
Now,
we have a live studio audience, and if we had the opportunity to give them the microphones, I'm not sure this program will end today. I had to come in here because they are all sort of agitated. They are talking to themselves because they are not happy. What we're saying is that there's a representation of Nigeria in the studio today, and they practically want to have you here. They wish you were in Lagos so that you can answer them directly.
Live.
But fortunately, you're not here. So now, to some extent, there's some level of happiness amongst Nigerians that, okay, CBN, the charges are being reduced. So what is the guarantee that there will be compliance? Because when the 15 naira started, immediately it happened.
Immediate compliance.
Now you've told them that they should stop, that it's not supposed to be the... But they have not stopped, and nothing's happening about that. So what's the guarantee that the other things will start immediately is January 1?
Next week.
I guarantee you that banks and other entities that we regulate that are within our purview will comply with our directives. He has already explained why we had to kickstart this January 1st, for them to attune their systems and do a lot of enlightenment, to their merchants. The merchants need to know, from last week when we made the pronouncement that, stamp duty is actually to be paid by the merchants and not the consumers. So the gap is basically to enlighten their merchants so that there will be no quarrel at point of sales. In terms of compliance, the banks, the payment service providers, they will all comply. And to make the compliance more stringent, we actually put some deterrents. For any company, for any bank that defaults on the regulation, on all the policy lines that we have put in place in our guide to charges, there will be a penalty of 2 million for every infraction. And for the number of days that the infraction remains unresolved, that institution will continue to pay 2 million naira. So the deterrent is so stringent that I do not see any bank that will not comply. In any case, the 15 naira, the stamp duty 15 naira is not for the bank, it's not for CBN, it's not for any of the payment service providers. It's for the government. So why would the bank not comply? Because it's actually not your money. We are not charging you. We are simply asking you to be an agent of collection to ensure that all the merchants become more responsible and pay this tax to the government. So I can guarantee you that they'll comply. In addition to that, as my responsibility in CBN, I head the oversight team. So from time to time, we'll be checking the banks to ensure that they comply. And any bank that doesn't comply, like I told you, the penalty will be slammed on that bank heavily. So compliance is going to be 100%, I can assure you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Jimo. We will take a very quick break, and then we'll come back and continue with the CBN, the audience. We're going to take 1 or 2 questions from the people in the audience. You want to ask the CBN a question, that'll be out when we come back in a moment. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us and welcome. We're still talking money matters, and we have the CBN in our Abuja studio. We have a live studio audience, and they have a couple of questions for the CBN. As I said earlier, if we let them, I'm not sure this show will end today, but we have comments pouring in via Twitter. Tunde Rogomati says, the CBN needs to focus more on its core monetary policy moderation mandate and stop dabbling in political stunts while the commercial banks run riot on the citizenry. They are currently disincentivizing saving and wrecking the hitherto successful cashless policy. That's from Tunde Arogomati. Okay, so we have a live studio audience, and I'm going to start with Iye Jonathan.
Thank you, CBN, for your presentation. In a country where we have the highest rate of poverty in the world, how are you aggregating your policy in such a way that you are not taking more money from people who cannot even afford it? You say you want to include people financially, right? But every transaction they do, even when they get an ATM card, they're supposed to encourage cashlessness, as we say. We are charging them and reducing their disposable income. So it's very interesting. I agree with Mr. Arogomante's comment. Maybe the CBN should be more focused on monetary policy to look at how to reduce poverty instead of encouraging banks to charge the people and make them even poorer. So I'd like to understand how you are looking at your policies holistically. 1 minute you say you want to do cashless. The next minute, you're encouraging us to carry cash because I am not going to pay 15 naira on a POS transaction. So I'd like to tell us how you are doing this thing holistically. Because some of us I am now carrying cash around. And it's contrary to what you want to do. And as much as possible, I'll try and avoid your charges. So please tell us your holistic approach. Thank you.
CBN.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that question. I do not think we are not focused in terms of our policy directive. We are very focused and we know where we are going. And it's very core to our heart to promote financial inclusion. Because the more people we have included, the better for the economy and for the entire Nigerians. Nigeria is not the only country that is driving financial inclusion. We actually have a group, a world group called Alliance for Financial Inclusion, where there are a couple of other countries, driving the same ideology. So we are focused. Now, in terms of the cashless policy and the charges, we're actually going in the same direction. It's just that the policy lines are coming from different angles, and depending on the angle from which you view it, you may think that there is a conflict. Now, for cashless, what we have done is to encourage people to digitize their cash so that the cost of cash handling can come down and thereby translate to lower service charges. So we are very fine on that one, and that's why every time we keep reviewing, the threshold at which you can do a cash transaction without charges. For individual, that is 500,000. I have always said this thing, that I don't know how many Nigerians do, cash transactions of up to 500,000 naira on a daily basis. You go to bank to withdraw or you go to bank to lodge. So the threshold is actually very, very good for those that we're actually targeting, which is the low-income earners, the poor, the unbanked, and all that. Now, let me quickly take the ATM, because it's actually the one in the public discourse. For the ATM, we all need to understand that there is actually no charge for ATM transaction if you go to your bank. If you take your card and you walk into your bank's ATM and you withdraw money, there is no charge. It is free. It is only when you abandon your bank and you go to another bank's ATM where you don't have money. You go to another bank where you do not have money, and you tell that bank to give you money.
Thank you.
That's when you pay.
Can we have studio silence, please? Thank you.
Not nice.
Thank you. Okay, all right. We're going to take 2 more questions, and we'll take them back to back. Mr. Oloride, you have a question?
Thank you for the opportunity. My question relates to the contention by the CBN personnel that there are really no charges here and there. I know as a Nigerian that when you obtain your ATM card, there is a card issuance fee, which is deducted automatically from your account without being informed ahead of time. There is the card maintenance fee. That you have withholding tax charges, COT charges, all sorts of charges, notification charges for using your data. Now, my question is this. All these policies that are being thrown at us as consumers, I believe they were copied from some other jurisdictions. And those who have who have banking relationships abroad, you know that you don't pay for card issuance.
Don't pay
once you apply for. In fact, they beg you to collect cards.
They send it to you for free.
They pay, free of charge. They bring it to your address.
Yes.
They don't charge you for withdrawing money from the ATM machines. Now, why is it that something that is borrowed, that is copied, why can't we borrow it holistically and do it the way it's being done outside Nigeria?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Then, a corollary to that. Let me just round.
No. We have to get somebody else. Mr. Babu.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Babu,
Okay,
please.
thank you. So my question to CBN is on the 15 naira that they say is for traders, the merchants. Okay, so the question is, we're all merchants anyway. It's not only Alaja Elimpo that is a merchant. So if I'm selling something and my gain is just 100 naira, and I have to pay 50 naira to CBN, we are not encouraging cashless policy. So CBN needs to explain why that 50 naira is so important, that in the name of promoting cashless policy, can't we leave that 50 naira out of it? What's the damage that it's really going to do? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, CBN.
CBN.
Take it away.
Let me start from the last question. That is the 15 naira surcharge, the stamp duty that the merchants were imposing on the public. Again, let me say that the stamp duty is a statutory tax. It's not a CBN fee. This is what I want us to know. It is not a CBN fee. We can't change it. We can only go to the National Assembly to discuss this. It's not a CBN fee. We are only making the institutions that we regulate, which are the banks, to be more responsive in terms of collecting that tax and give it to the government. That's all we are doing. We say, banks, please ensure that when these transactions happen in your bank, look at the transaction and check if the transaction is dutiable. And if it is, collect the money and give it back to the bank. That's what we are doing. So we can't discuss 15 naira because it is not our regulation. So we need to understand this. Then the other question which has to do with copying things from other jurisdictions, and then we don't copy the environment. I think the discussion should actually start from whether we have the same configurations with those countries. For example, let me take, for example, the ATM, the POS terminals, and all other electronic devices that we use to drive electronic payment. They are not manufactured in Nigeria. We go to these countries to buy them. Services are provided by those countries. We pay for power, telecommunications, security, and all that. Banks pay for this. We see their total cost of providing service. We don't have the same configuration. So you may be issued a card there for free, and here it is not free because we don't have the same kind of configuration. This is basically it. We can run a bank where we say don't even provide fees with no charge, and the banks will tell you, sorry, I'm going to run into debit, I'm going to run into a loss. Therefore, it is not sustainable. For us to encourage interoperability, where you can walk to any bank and do transactions as we have today, because you can walk to any ATM in Nigeria without discrimination and you do your transaction. To encourage that interoperability, there will be a cost to sustain those equipment that are driving these services. Okay, and so this is where the issue of cost and what we are trying to do.
I'm not cutting you, sir. I'm not cutting you, sir. But sincerely, we'll need to say a big thank you to you, Mr. Jimo and Mr. Lada. We will close it. We usually close topics when we don't get the result we are expecting. So I understand.
Let's give you the.
I understand that your
permit us to give you the result you want.
I understand you are also working. And someday you join the pension people, and that money they will collect from it too. No problem. So what you are supporting now, you also face it. Do you understand? So if you don't face it, grandchildren will face it. So don't worry, we are not fighting you. Don't squeeze your face. We understand. If I was working with CBN, I would also campaign for CBN. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much, Abuja. Thank you, CBN. But please work on it as we want. Do you understand? Because your customers are always right.